Last week, the world's elite and other so-called stakeholders gathered in the normally sleepy Swiss town of Davos to plan the future, without input from us plebs, at the World Economic Forum's now infamous annual conference. In contrast to previous years, however, everyone was finally paying attention to what these powerful people were saying. Multiple clips from the conference have since gone viral as a result, and for good reason. So today we're going to give you a summary of some of the most important things that were said at this year's Davos conference, or rather, the ones that the public were allowed to hear. Yes, this is a video you cannot miss. As with all Davos conferences, this one began with opening remarks from the World Economic Forum, or WEF's president, Børge Brende, and its founder and executive chairman, Klaus Schwab. For context, Klaus founded the WEF in order that so-called stakeholders could meet to plan the future of the world, something he once revealed in an interview. Anyways, Børge started by saying that there were over 3,000 attendees at this year's Davos conference, which was roughly the same as last year's. He acknowledged that the event is taking place amid a complex geopolitical backdrop and stressed that global cooperation is required to address truly global issues. Following a lot of predictable buzzwords, Børge stood down and Klaus stood up. He said that the purpose of the WEF's various programs is to drive global transformation, and acknowledged that this transformation will be disruptive to the average person. I don't remember voting for these programs, by the way. Do you? Anyway, on that note, Klaus underscored the fact that the risks are, quote, centered on the individual and national level. In other words, the interests of individuals and countries are causing issues for the WEF's programs. He said this is a problem because, quote, we are responsible for advancing the world. Newsflash, when he says we, he doesn't mean you and me. He means the stakeholders at the WEF. Now, Klaus went on to note that the theme of this year's Davos conference was rebuilding trust, specifically rebuilding the average person's trust in the institutions the WEF controls and influences. In case you missed the memo, trust in institutions has fallen off a cliff globally since the 2020 pandemic. So this naturally begs the question of how the WEF plans to rebuild trust. Well, Klaus's answer was that it requires, quote, trusteeship, which means caring for the greater good. Put differently, setting aside your individual interests and goals in the name of some collective goal, likely one set by the WEF. Klaus then thanked the Swiss army and the Swiss police for protecting the elites from the plebs at Davos, and invited Swiss President Viola Amherd on stage. She spent most of her time talking about the United Nations, or UN, calling for the organization to not only be strengthened, but also reformed. Now, if you watched our video about who controls the world, you'll know that it actually seems to be the UN. You'll also know that the WEF has partnered with the UN to ensure that the latter's Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, are met in every country by 2030, hence why you see that date everywhere. More on that in a moment. Now, Viola went on to say that fake news is the biggest threat to the WEF, and said that digitizing everything can help rebuild trust, because it means that the WEF can control the flow of information. Believe it or not, but she acknowledged that many people watching are not fans of the WEF. And you know what she said to that? She said it's because of plain old populism. It has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that the elites at Davos are explicitly planning global policies that disenfranchise the average person. Nope, it's populism. And she called on corporations to stop it. Not only that, but she insisted that the WEF is not at the mercy of these trends, that these trends must nevertheless be stopped, and that's what everyone at the WEF is here to do. Translation: we must retake
What's your biggest turnoff in guys?
Probably when they don't work out. Go to
Oh, really?
and stuff, yeah.
White men.
So what do you guys prefer in a guy?
Really rich,
Really black.
at least 6'5".
6'5"?
Yeah.
He's got to be taller, you know?
Between men or women, who has a harder life?
Absolutely women.
Why?
We're sexualized everywhere we go.
You get like catcalled?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Modern society, driven by a toxic feminist ideology, has demonized men for far too long. For the past few decades, men have been consistently put down in every major area of society. But one thing about men that's been true since the dawn of time is that we are remarkably adaptable. In order to survive, men will adjust and overcome. This is how men have allowed humanity to survive to the present day. This is how humanity has been able to become the apex predator on the planet, not by our physical characteristics, but our ability to be resourceful and survive. By adapting and thriving even after things have changed so drastically, we get better. And what we're seeing at the moment is the same pattern of behavior. This is men adapting to changing situations which no longer serve them. Men have been watching the way this society has been going for the past few decades, and recently, they've decided to opt out. Men are choosing to walk away from a society that doesn't appreciate them. They're walking away from a dating market that instantly labels them as predators just for existing. Men are paying attention to the insufferable way modern women choose to be, and they're saying one thing: no thank you. Alright, before we go any deeper into the video, let me share the comment of the day. Today's winner is Radix133, who said, "There's a reason why taking true accountability is called manning up." Damn, now that is poetic. You gotta love the truth behind this one. So man, please don't forget to reach out to my email to claim your $5. As always guys, I'm gonna pick one comment from each video. It could be the funniest, the most liked, or like this one that just really stuck out to me. So don't forget to leave a comment and you could be the next winner. Be sure to hit that like and sub button as it helps me out a lot. So now, back to the video.
Embrace your masculinity.
This society has been telling men for generations that they're not needed and that they should go away. And men listened. In massive numbers, men are deciding to go their own way and find peace elsewhere. Society is constantly shocked by how little your average man needs in order to be happy. As long as he has freedom, autonomy, and peace, a man will be happy. But men being happier by walking away is something society didn't predict. Feminism told men to go away, but they didn't expect men to actually do it. And now, this society is throwing a hissy fit because men walked away and realized that they're actually happier than they would have been if they stayed. Feminism does not want men to be happy. It's as if they said go away, and when men left, they said no, not like that. When a man doesn't have to deal with modern women, he's immediately happier for it. This is something that every man who successfully goes his own way will realize. When you walk away, it's like you realize how much BS you've been tolerating your whole life. Imagine that you were born with a splinter in your foot. It causes you pain every time you walk, but because you've had it in your foot since you were born, you have no idea what it's like to walk without that splinter. And then one day, the splinter dyes its hair blue and starts yelling at you, calling you a predatory, sexist, misogynistic pig. It becomes increasingly more combative, bitter, and argumentative. You put up with the splinter for as long as you can, but eventually you say enough is enough. You grab a pair of pliers and you pull it right out. It stings as you pull it out. It takes a few days to heal, but then you put your shoes on and start walking again. All of a sudden, walking feels easy. There's no pain anymore. It's like walking on a cloud compared to what it was like before. You feel at peace and like you can walk anywhere. You then look back on your life and realize that the splinter in your foot was a big problem all along, but you just couldn't see it. Now you're grateful that the splinter started making noise. Without it, maybe you would have allowed the splinter to stay in your foot for the rest of your life. What I just described is the story of any man who decides to go his own way and leave women behind. Everything that's wrong with modern women can be demonstrated in the clip that I'm going to show you right now. This is from the same woman who famously demonstrated a few months ago how dysfunctional she is by getting rejected by a matchmaker.
This is how you do not plan a freaking date. You are gonna get rejected. I am here, gonna show you with receipts. I pulled this one from the archive. Let's get into it. I had been on one date with this man, and I got right in that group chat after the first date telling the girlies, I think this guy is great. I had such a nice time with him. We had so much fun. We had a lot in common. I could not wait to go on a second date with him. A week or so later, he finally texts me and is like, hey, are you free Sunday for brunch? I'm like, yeah, great. That Saturday night, he sends me this text, are you still up for brunch? Yes, I'm still up for brunch. You're saying that 5 p.m. on Saturday, brunch assumingly would be Sunday, noon, 1. Yeah, what are you thinking? I could come your way if you know a good spot. Okay, let me do the heavy lifting for you, buddy. So I give him a list of these places and I add, not sure if any take a res, meaning, hey buddy, I'm giving you 3 options of places I'd like to go, but you are gonna have to do the footwork to determine whether or not they even require reservations. A lot of brunch places don't, or what the deal is. He says, oh, the Dutch eye. Not even sure what that means. Like, oh, is that a plan? No. So then that morning, I get a text from him, howdy, how does 2 sound? I never heard back from him the night before, so what do I say? Oh, when I didn't hear back last night about a reservation or anything concrete, I made plans for this afternoon. You cannot, for a second date, try and make plans the morning of. Even less than 24 hours. Like, your girl is busy. We are not sitting around waiting for you to reach out. Goodbye. And so what is his response? Okay, cool. He, I think, got the point. But either way, I was like, this has to be like one of the laziest attempts at putting a second date together. Like, bro, second date, what are you doing? You missed out is what happened. Sorry.
There are a few things that I want to point out. Firstly, let's be honest. She is 100% of the reason why she does not have a boyfriend. The guy did absolutely nothing wrong, and when she asked if she knew of a decent place, he wasn't expecting her to carry the entire load. He was just being considerate, but she freaked out and acted